Did you know that Sheng Lao Ren, the Christmas elder, isn't just a jolly man in a red suit handing out presents? He's a figure woven into the fabric of modern China, a blend of Western commercialism and ancient Chinese traditions, carrying a sack full of surprises, not all of them pleasant. His story, whispered among the vendors of bustling Christmas markets and the hushed halls of ancient temples, is far more complex and far more disturbing than you might imagine. Sheng Lao Ren wasn't always about twinkling lights and festive cheer. He emerged from the shadows of China's tumultuous 20th century, a time of upheaval and transformation. Whispers began circulating in the late 19th century, tales of a benevolent spirit who traveled the world on the longest night of the year, rewarding the virtuous and punishing the wicked. He wasn't tied to Christmas then, but to Dongji, the winter solstice, a time of deep spiritual significance in Chinese culture. He was a judge, a harbinger, a reflection of the ancient belief in the balance of yin and yang. As Western influence grew in coastal cities like Shanghai and Hong Kong, the image of the Western Santa Claus began to merge with this older figure. The red suit appeared, the reindeer-drawn sleigh, the jovial laughter. But underneath, something older, something darker, remained. Sheng Lao Ren didn't just bring toys, he brought judgment. He saw into the hearts of children, not just for naughtiness or niceness, but for adherence to deeper, more profound cultural values. Filial piety, respect for elders, harmony within the family. The Cultural Revolution threw a long, dark shadow over Sheng Lao Ren. Christmas, seen as a decadent Western import, was suppressed. Public celebrations were forbidden, and Sheng Lao Ren became a whispered legend, a symbol of forbidden joy. But he didn't disappear. He retreated into the shadows, becoming a figure of resistance, a reminder of a world beyond the strictures of the regime. Stories circulated of families secretly celebrating Christmas Eve, leaving offerings of dumplings and oranges for Sheng Lao Ren, praying for a return to normalcy. These weren't just celebrations of Christmas, they were acts of defiance. Then came the economic reforms of the late 20th century. China opened its doors to the world, and with it came a flood of Western commercialism. Christmas, stripped of its religious significance, became a marketing bonanza. Sheng Lao Ren was resurrected, not as a judge, but as a salesman. He hawked Coca-Cola and Kentucky Fried Chicken, his image plastered across billboards and shopping malls. He became a symbol of China's newfound prosperity, a cheerful face of consumerism. But something unsettling happened. The old stories, the whispers of judgment, didn't disappear entirely. They lingered, twisted and distorted by the rapid changes sweeping through Chinese society. Sheng Lao Ren became a figure of unease, a reminder of the traditions being left behind. Rumors began circulating. Children whispered of a dark Sheng Lao Ren, a shadowy figure who punished those who embraced Western culture too readily. He wasn't giving out coal. He was taking things away, family heirlooms, memories, even the ability to speak Mandarin properly. He became a bogeyman, a manifestation of anxieties about cultural loss and the breakneck pace of modernization. In the remote villages of rural China, far from the glittering lights of the cities, the old stories held even more power. There, Sheng Lao Ren was said to travel with a retinue of spirits, the ghosts of ancestors judging the living. He wasn't just watching for good behavior. He was ensuring the continuation of ancient traditions, punishing those who abandoned the old ways. There were even whispers of sacrifices, of families offering up their most prized possessions to appease the Christmas elder and ensure his favor. One particularly chilling tale tells of a young boy in a remote mountain village who, captivated by a Western cartoon, refused to participate in the traditional winter solstice rituals. On Christmas Eve, he awoke to find Sheng Lao Ren standing over him, not with a sack of toys, but with a pair of shears. The Christmas elder, his face a mask of cold fury, cut off the boy's tongue, a punishment for abandoning his ancestral language. The story, likely apocryphal, spread like wildfire, a stark warning against embracing foreign influences. Today, Sheng Lao Ren exists in a strange duality. He's the jolly figure in the shopping mall, handing out candy canes and posing for photos. But he's also something more, something older, something darker. He's a reminder of the complex interplay between tradition and modernity in China, a symbol of a culture grappling with rapid change. He's the embodiment of the anxieties and uncertainties of a nation transforming itself at breakneck speed. And sometimes, in the hushed whispers of the old villages, he's still a figure of judgment, a reminder that some traditions, even in the face of overwhelming change, refuse to be forgotten. So, the next time you see Sheng Lao Ren, remember that behind the cheerful facade lies a far more complex, and perhaps even unsettling, story. He is a mirror reflecting not just the festive joy of Christmas, but the deeper, more turbulent currents flowing through the heart of modern China.